Give me that goo.
Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle.
Goo from Jump Street.
Who cares?
Surprise.
Wanna hug?
Kinky.
Gorgy.
So good.
Welcome to Girth.
You can't say Teddy Spaghetti 3 times or else.
Don't mention his name.
Posticle.
Your turn to feed it.
How big is this hole?
Oh, it's gaping.
Hey.
Out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
Hello, welcome everyone to a very brand new
episode.
Very special episode of Chuddle the Pod. I'm of course Brian. I'm joined by my co-occupant Ross.
Oh, hey.
Thanks for joining me. Sam is unfortunately sick. He's gonna miss out on this.
So bummed.
And he's very
all caps.
upset.
So bummed.
Mm-hmm. But it's special because tonight we are joined by a very special guest. Hopefully you know him, but if you don't by the end of the podcast, you certainly will. Mr. Jeremy Holm, thank you.
Hey,
welcome.
Guys, man, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it is our absolute pleasure. Yeah.
An honor to be with you on this cold winter evening.
Right?
Yeah, where are you, if you don't mind us asking?
I'm in Vermont. I'm in northern Vermont.
Okay, yes. I'm up in New York. Ross is down in Florida, so he has
I'm in Orlando.
Like, I don't know.
So
it
was a very chilly 65 degrees out. So
I wouldn't mind. That wasn't bad today. Anyway, enough weather talk. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. We got hopefully we're just going to get into a bunch of fun stuff about your career and all that good stuff. Hopefully, if you've been listening to our podcast, listeners, you know one of Ross's favorite movies from the past year is Brooklyn 4-5. So if you've taken any of a recommendation from us, you've seen that, so you definitely know who we're talking to. Real quick, thank you very much to our Coven, which is our Patreon, our Coven of Witches. We thank you. You guys keep a lot going here. So
yes,
thanks.
Monetarily and spiritually.
Yes, exactly. That helps with the motivation.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody should have a Coven.
Yes,
exactly. Yes,
at their back, ready to help them out.
That should be our new shirt. To be totally honest with you, everyone needs a Coven.
Yes, the new.
Don't worry, Jeremy. We're gonna give you a cut of that for sure.
Okay. Can't wait. Yeah, these proceeds coming in.
Yeah, right. Because it's gonna be big money. All right, Jeremy. Basically, I don't want to necessarily start at the beginning, but where did you start into acting? How did this get into your blood?
End. I died in a terrible fiery accident. No, let's not do that. That'd be kind of fun, though.
That'd be interesting. I mean, I'd be down to
a posthumous interview. That would be fantastic.
I will suffocate on my own phlegm at the age of 73.
Interesting.
In the dressing room, just after carrying Cordelia off left, still in my King Lear costume. No, I was born in Colorado in the mountains. I grew up there. I went to school in Colorado. Then I went to grad school in Milwaukee. Then I moved to New York, and now I live in Vermont.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's the thumbnail.
Right.
When did you know you wanted to do acting and stuff? When did that kind of bug bite you? Was it always there?
I played the giant in Jack and the Giant Beanstalk for Mrs. Canan, who I was in love with in kindergarten.
Okay.
I got to wear my brother's big, we called them clodhoppers, big boots. And I thought, well, I could be up in front of people, making people laugh. This is awesome. I think that's where it started, and it kind of snowballed from there. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
I always enjoyed the stuff behind the camera. On the front of it, never so much where I wanted to shine. That's why it's podcast audio medium.
That's where the hard work is, man, behind the camera.
Right.
But at this point, I mean, you have a amazing roster of movies and film and all sorts of acting that you've been in, but you got a good number of horror movies under your belt at this point. Were you a fan of the genre going up? Is that something new you've gotten into?
I liked horror movies. I wouldn't say that I was like a super fan or anything, but when Jen Wexler, whom I adore, when she and the writer and the people that were making the movie cast me as the Ranger in her first movie. I turned me on fire. I loved the ethos on set. I love the people. I love the kind of people that watch those movies. I love the festival. We premiered at South by Southwest, which was a great time. That's where I met Ed Gagan, who wrote and directed Brooklyn 45. And that's where I met the people who produced The Black Mold, Sarah Sharp and Robert Patrick Stern. So it's kind of just a tree that, that starts to grow if you, if you're good to people and you do good work, and you enjoy doing what you do, that just sort of happens. And that's what's happening. And I hope it continues to happen. I have a blast doing them.
That's awesome. It's so cool to hear like it organically kind of evolved to like that. That's so cool.
It's fun way to. Do you have a favorite horror movie? Something you could pin?
I have, like, if you just ask me really quick, I'll have like 6 that I'll rattle off. Cabin in the Woods, Tucker and Dale Fight Evil, Sleepaway Camp is so good.
Perfect. Yes, love it.
Stitches, I love Stitches.
Stitches is great.
Oh, it's so funny and also scary and so fun. So those are like the quick hits that come out for me. The Omen, when I was a kid, was so scary. I don't know if I guess it's a horror movie.
Sure.
I recently
we count it.
Yeah, I recently rewatched The Birds, which is a horror movie. Oh, and it's pretty dang scary. If you don't laugh at the tech on the birds themselves,
right? If you never mind the seagulls, it's horrifying.
Yeah. It's a pretty scary movie, and and it actually, he didn't think of it as a horror movie. He was thinking of it as an environmental film because it was based on an incident that happened that he read about in the newspaper. Alfred Hitchcock, I'm speaking of, and that caused him to make the movie. But what a scary movie.
Oh yeah, I think the idea of like nature turning against people just simultaneously is such a horrifying concept, especially with something as innocuous as birds.
Yeah, right. And then I have my other answer is in the last year, and I'm not counting movies I'm in because you can't do that. But The Sacrifice Game.
Yes.
Jen Wexler, Suitable Flesh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. A couple of great movies there. So, those are my answers to your question.
I love it. Yeah. It's just always fascinating to hear all the different tastes, and kind of, you can almost see sometimes what inspires performances or directing or any of that.
Although whenever I get that question with folks like you, who I consider to be experts because you're so steeped in it, I feel like I'm taking an exam, and I hope that I don't fail. I want to get at least a C or maybe a B. I know I won't ace it, but if I could get like a solid B, I'd be really happy. And I think right now you could give it to me,
Absolutely.
At the end of the podcast, we'll give you your score.
Yeah, it's a whole,
quickly. Excellent.
Yes,
certificate, all that kind of stuff. No, I think that's what's really beautiful about the horror genre is that there's so many different particular flavors of ice cream that, like, I love comedic horror because I think comedy and horror hold hands in so many different aspects, and comedy is used so often to disarm the audience to really scare them, and vice versa. Like, you can have someone getting like the shit scared out of them, and then you crack a joke halfway through and it just diffuses the entire audience in such a way that most other genres can't do.
Right. That technique also works in life.
Oh yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Precisely.
Absolutely.
It's true. And it's really, and we are so lucky. We live in a time where people are allowed to take those risks, with all the other platforms that exist. You're seeing all manner of movies about all manner of subjects, and it's so fun. And it's we live in the golden age of cinematic creativity, I think.
Oh wow, yeah,
I'd agree with that. And I think one of the things we've talked about before, one of the maybe good things that kind of came out of COVID is this acceptance of just so much more creativity out there. And I mean, a lot of the things that came out of some of the writers' strikes and all that kind of stuff too was the need for alternative, like more independent maybe stuff out there, which was is fascinating to see. And I feel like there was kind of this explosion that came out of it, which
Yeah. Yeah. And it hasn't gone back, and I don't think it will. I think we're going to continue to see that trend open up in different ways that we haven't even imagined yet.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So your character of Archie in Brooklyn 4-5 is like amazing character, by the way. It's so complex. He's such a complex character. Was it exciting to take on this role with how many layers he has as you kind of like unfold throughout it? What did anything about the character kind of like make you nervous at all, or like hesitant about the performance?
Absolutely. And Ted asked me if I would read the script and if I would consider playing it, and I read it, and I called him back. He sent it to me at like 7 p.m. I read it immediately. I called him back that night, and I said yes. And I said, but I want you to know I'm not. And I was worried that I'd get the question, during post-show discussions, after at festivals and such. And I actually never got it, but I said, Ted, I'm not gay. And Ted's very openly bisexual. And I said, Ted, I'm not gay. I just want to make sure you're cool with me playing this character. And he said, acting is acting. I want you to play it. You can embody the things in the character I want. So if he was okay with it, then I was okay with it. And so, yes, that part of it was terrifying. It was also terrifying to do the work of preparing for all the horrific images that Archie is reliving, in the script. I don't know if you guys know much about the Vietnam War, but there was an incident called the My Lai Massacre. Do you guys know about that?
Roughly about the My Lai, yeah.
Right. Okay. So I relied heavily on reading about, because I already knew about that event, and I'd done a play in graduate school called In the Heart of America by Naomi Wallace, and it's all about the ghosts of war, right? And so I used the same work to prepare for what Archie was going through. And is it fun? It's interesting, but it's also can give you some bad sleeping nights, and it can cause you to have weird thoughts.
Totally.
Once you're doing it. So it was exciting and terrifying.
Right. No, I can only imagine, especially with with dealing with such heavy subject matter. Particularly, obviously, horror deals with very heavy subject matter a lot. Is that there's got to be a lot that it's got to be that cauterization, I guess is the best way to put it, where like you kind of have to that there's a certain point where you have to absorb it as an actor, but then there must be some kind of like dam that you're like, okay, well, I can fill it to like here, and then I kind of have to really kind of like let this hold back a little bit.
That's a great way to put it, and I think you have to have it at the ready, and you kind of don't want to go there till you're on set, till they yell action, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the dance of acting. Sometimes you get it right away. That's what you're paid to do. You're paid to be there on every take. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to work a little harder. Sometimes it's just there, and it's such a thrilling ride to be in. Actors are lucky. If they ever bitch, don't let them bitch, because we're lucky to be doing it. Let's face it.
Right. Oh man, that's true.
I mean, I have a quick follow-up to that. Do you have, I guess, what is your process for that? Do you find yourself like really trying to embody that role, and how much do you carry that over? Is it a very method thing, or are you able to kind of snap in and out of it?
If I'm method, it's not because I'm a method actor. Sometimes it can seep into your day-to-day existence. Yeah. I just try to do all the research I can. I have a lot of each project is different. Sometimes it's just reading the text and using maybe a song, or maybe there's a painting, or maybe there's a movie you want to watch. Mm-hmm. There are all kinds of things. Maybe it's a walk in the woods, whatever it is. Every part has its own dance that you need to do. I remember I was playing Biff in Death of a Salesman at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. once, and my wife was with me. And we had a rule that for half an hour after I got home, she didn't want to talk to me because I was in a terrible, terrible place just from the play. So I'm not method, but it can seep into you, and you have to, I'm a dad and a husband, so I have to make sure I'm not letting it unfairly impinge upon my family life.
Oh, 100%. I feel like, and obviously, apples to oranges. I'm a tattooer by trade, so I talk and interact with a whole lot of people, and I deal with very heavy stuff. And sometimes when I'm doing, say, like a memorial tattoo for, it could be anyone from someone's grandparent to an infant or something like that, is that I have like certain times where that happens, I have a decompression say. And my wife we've been together 11 years, so I kind of give her a call. I'm like, hey, I have been deep sea diving in a whole different thing, and if I don't, I'm going to get the bends if I just immediately talk to you about this. So I'm just going to hang out on the back porch for like a half an hour and collect myself, and then kind of reacclimate to reality.
Ross, you just coined it. It's art bends. It's creativity bends. You can't come out too quickly or you'll fuck yourself up.
Exactly.
Pop.
Yeah. And then, exactly. You're going to pop and everything around you is going to pop.
Yeah.
How was it working with Ted on Brooklyn 4-5? Was it like, had you seen We Are Still Here before taking the project on?
Yes, I saw all of his work before I went down to start shooting. We shot outside of Chicago, and I can't remember. It's the clock capital of the United States. Starts with an E. I don't remember the name of it now.
Oh, interesting. Awesome.
Yeah. We were there, and he was just he had everything. He was so organized. The first day we came, we had a full day of rehearsal, and he gave us all a stack of index cards.
Ooh. And
on the card, it had the page number, and a little drawing of the set, and where we were, and if there was a move. And every time we moved, the next card, it would have where we moved, from where we moved. And because it was shot in one room, he had to have all the movement planned out, or it would have taken, he wouldn't have had good continuity, it would have taken twice as long. It was incredible. And he's just such a gentle person, such a beautiful man. I adore him. And his thoughts are so lofty,
That's so good. I mean, it is. And it reads very much like, and to the movie's benefit, I think because having that confined space, it reads it's like theater. It made me feel like I was watching like a play, and in the best ways possible. And I can't even imagine, I didn't even think about, because it's in one room with everybody continuously moving, that must have been a continuity nightmare if they didn't like pre-plan all of that.
Right. And it felt like we were in a play.
Yeah.
We had a little, what we called mini holding, which was like these nice armchairs with little lamps and tables, and we put them in a circle so we could all be with each other. We were in this really cold warehouse. We had blankets on our laps. And then we'd go into the set, which is just, feet away, in a room, and it felt like we were on a stage. It was amazing. And I think everybody in the play, Ron Raines, he's a very well-known and really awesome Chicago actor. Of course, Anne Ramsey comes from the theater.
Yeah.
Ezra comes from the theater. All of us, Christina Klebe, everybody in the movie, we all come from the theater. So it did have that flavor to it, which I think helps,
Oh, huge. I mean, I think I said it when we did a quick review of the movie, is that the acting in this, I mean, like, it's amazing to have a horror film that is a drama with a horror backdrop to it that plays so well. Because it's like in a lot of those where it's amazing that you have a horror movie where the horror comes secondary and in the best way possible, and it still reads as just fucking terrifying like the entire time.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I'll tell him you said that. He would love to hear that. And that's really cool. Thank you.
Did it help that Larry Fessenden worked with him before on We Are Still Here and then kind of had him move over, like having not a veteran in the director style and stuff like that, but was it cool having other actors from his other films in it with you in the trenches, so to speak?
Yeah, and I had worked with Larry sort of not directly, but I knew Larry. I've been to his house a few times because he was in the Ranger and he helped produce the Ranger. So, and they had worked together, and they had their thing, and they invited us all into their sense of humor, and it was it was cool. I knew when I was in it, this will never happen again. This is like, pay attention, enjoy this, because it'll never happen again.
Oh, totally. I think I get that feeling every time I watch one of Ted's films, where it's like, it just has this like, it's a great blending of different cinematic things, like humor and just the cinematography, and like the acting is so much more elevated, I guess would be the best way of putting it, than a lot of the other fare that you have during that year. So you're just like, I don't know. For me, I'm just like, ooh, goody, another one of Ted's movies. Let's do this.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm honored to be in it. And he actually is I think he may be done. He's got another script. I haven't read it. I don't know what it's about, but he's very excited about it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
That makes us excited.
Now, yes. Now, obviously, I don't know a whole lot about it, but you are going to be in an upcoming film from Larry called Blackout. Is that right?
Yeah, I just, here's what he did. Larry made this film Blackout, and I have to be careful because I don't know what I can and can't say. I can say some stuff. Right. It's starring Alex Hurt, who's incredible. He's the lead character. Barbara Crampton is in it. Basically, Larry called up all his pals, and I'm not going to call it a small part. I have a short scene, and I had a blast working for Larry. He's so fun to work with, man. He's like a guerrilla filmmaker. He's like, okay, bring the camera in here. We're gonna, and you're just
so
going.
Good.
It's like he's making some smorgasbord dish. Pulling ingredients out of the fridge and throwing them on the counter. And
yeah, cinematic gumbo.
Yeah, and I've seen the movie now, I think, twice. I saw it up at Fantasia Fest. People loved it. He made a few changes, and then I saw it in New York. Did I see it in New York? I saw it somewhere else, and I think people are going to love it. And it's a Larry movie. It's a Larry Fessenden special. Yeah,
that's so good. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say that's exciting. I've heard of some people who saw it at one of the festival runs that it was on and had great things to say. So it's been on my radar for a bit now. Just one of those things anxiously waiting for.
Yeah, watch out for Alex Hurt, man. He's incredible.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good. All right, so two just minimal questions before getting to the Brian's other stuff. So for Brooklyn 4-5. All right, so when I have a 2-year-old and I got a 4-year-old. So
congratulations.
Thank you. And I know
you're still in Lego time. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh. I'm wearing my Doc Martens around the house all the time because it took us one and then I just squealed. But I think something good, bad, otherwise has kind of changed a little bit of my internal mechanism. So I'm a little more affected now, obviously, because it hits closer to home when it deals with like stuff with kids. So as being a father, when you're taking on a role that has to deal with atrocities of war, but in particular like child death, did it obviously did the dam break a little bit when you were kind of getting into that role and that character just because of the content?
Listen, I don't want to pimp my kids out, but I'm not going to lie. I used it a little bit. Yeah. When you're a father, you become a little more, it tenderizes you. It does. It has that effect on you. And yes, it hits you harder. It's harder to watch. It's harder to deal with that subject matter. For sure. But I also think it makes you better. It makes you deeper. It gives you an understanding, a way to look at something, and it gives you a deeper sense of empathy.
Oh, totally. No, 100%. Sure. All right. So this is just curiosity. I loved Black Mold. When you were playing, okay, so you were talking about a little before. All right, first off, the makeup took how long to do?
It took the first time we did it took 4 hours, but we got it down to 2 hours after we started doing it. Ooh. Yeah.
I'm rocking the natural version of it.
Your beard light, I don't know who you paid for, if it's a filter, if it's just light, but this beard light is money. I wish the man upstairs had that beard light because it is very good.
It's that ominous. Yeah. I just have this natural French. It is terrifying. I kind of look like the anti-Santa Claus. So it's that.
There's the name of a movie, Anti-Claus.
Anti-Claus. Excellent.
I think we're onto something.
So that your character in Black Mold is incredibly interesting because I mean the whole movie in and of itself is very trippy in the fact of like not knowing what is real dialogue, what isn't real dialogue. When you were playing this character, because I guess it's from the perception of our main antagonist or main protagonist, sorry. Were you playing it like her dad the whole time? Did you want to come off like that? Because the whole time I was like, the reveal is going to be like it's the dad the entire time because of just like the subtleties in the dialogue that you have with her. Or did you have kind of a different state of mind when you were kind of like getting into that character? Because he's so erratic and so all over the place.
Well, thank you for that question. That makes me very happy that you would even ask that. John Pata, the writer-director, gave us, I think it was gave each of us a 15-page kind of pre-story about what happened to our character. And so that really helped me like be in a place for the movie to start. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of questions about his relationship to her, but John would not answer that. He did not want me to know the answer. Oh, wow. And I have to tell you that having seen the movie, I saw it at Panic Fest.
Nice.
Shout out
nice.
Panic Fest. If you've never been, Panic Fest is awesome. You got to go. It's so cool. Awesome. The food, the venues, the people, the movies, it's fantastic. But I have seen the movie a few times, and every time I see it, I come out thinking something different. Mm-hmm. And so there's enough ambiguity in the editing and the writing and how it's shot that even a person who's in the movie is able to do that. And that's honest. Like I'm sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give any spoilers away, but sometimes I'm really angry at the end of that movie.
Yes.
Really angry.
Yeah. I think I was perplexed. My first viewing of it, I was like perplexed. But in the best way possible, where I was like, what the, who the, huh, what? And then it makes it diving into it. Yeah, I got this sense of like frustration for everyone involved. I think it was just
who
this
should be in jail, right?
Yes.
Who should be in jail?
Yes.
Or who should have been in jail?
Absolutely.
Question. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
So fun. I love it.
So we've talked about your film work. You've obviously been in television. You've mentioned theater as well. Do you find that obviously there's probably some sort of difference in how you work within different roles and approach each medium? That's, I guess.
Yeah. Well, in theater, you have more time because, let's say, back when I was living in New York and I was auditioning for a lot of theater, you'd look at what seasons were being done and what the hot plays were. And maybe you'd seen the play on Broadway or, maybe you knew the playwright from, some connection and you've already read the play. Maybe you've seen the play, maybe you haven't, but you know the play, right? So then you're going to audition for it. So then you read it 2 or 3 times. And then when the audition comes, they give you the sides, the lines that you're going to, the pages that you're going to perform for the casting director and the director. Mm-hmm. And then you go and you rehearse the play for, 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. So there's time. There's time to really mine it. The film business is not that way. It is fast. I've been given, when I was doing Mr. Robot, I was living in New Jersey at the time, and I wanted to go see the guy at my old deli, because I had this deli I used to go to. I want to go see Christos Karasakalidis. And so I went to the deli, and I'm like, hey, Chris, how you doing? And it's 10 in the morning. He's like, my boy, you want a crown? And I'm like, I don't need any drinks. I just came to see you. I got a text, hey, Jeremy, sorry, we forgot to give you a 2-page monologue that you're performing today. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be right there. So I had him email it to me. I get in the car. I'm reading it in the car in my 10-minute drive. I get in the dressing room. I'm slowly dressing while I'm reading the lines. And then you have to perform it. You don't have time. You really don't have time. So you have to be nimble and ready to work in a different way for film. You don't have to work as hard because, you don't have to get that energy to the back row, and you don't have to worry about the stamina of performing for 2 or 3 hours. You don't have to learn, all of Mark Antony's speeches. Right. And you don't have to do it all at once. Like you don't have to do the whole movie at once. So that's different. But it's a lot faster. So there are big differences to how you approach it.
Oh,
it's a great question.
I mean, I have theater on the mind. I just went and saw Sweeney Todd on Broadway, which was fantastic. That was a wonderful time. So watching, murders on the stage and everything. And it goes back to Brooklyn 4-5, how we definitely all mentioned this when we covered it on the shows. It felt very much like a theater, and we were like, we would love to see this on stage. And how would you how do you do this on stage?
It's been suggested, and there are ways you could do it.
I believe. I mean, we were all there for it. We were ready. We're like, whatever they can 100%. Do, we want to see this happen. We'll be there.
It'd be fun. Super fun.
Awesome.
Oh, do you have? Well, I don't want to hijack your question, but is there a difference when you're dealing with? Say a character where most of the problems are kind of based in reality versus doing, say, something that is in horror or say something that is in sci-fi. Do you feel like it's a little more challenging when you're dealing with things that are based out of reality, or do you have a little more fun with it? Is it a little more like sandboxy because it's this huge gray area that you can kind of sculpt your own thing out of,
Yeah. Wow. That's a great way to pose. I think the answer is in the question itself. When you're dealing in reality-based stuff, it's interesting to pay attention to the little details you're given by the other cast and by the set and perhaps the costume. But then when you're, I guess the extreme would be acting in a green screen or doing a video game or something.
Yeah, right.
It's all about the world of your imagination. So you have to do the imagination work before you get there. So you have choices, imagination choices, worlds you can go into, because the director might say, "Oh, I want you to explore this thing," and then if you've done the work, you can go down that road.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you have to invent it, in the moment. So yeah, they're both really interesting. They both use imagination, but in a completely different way.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I'll hijack one of yours, Ross. Here,
sweet.
Thinking in the future, the could be's.
You guys are shuttling each other. You're subtle potting questions from each other.
That's what we did.
We do this all the time.
Spot it right away.
We have this finite script. We're going to be asking this one, and the second we get into it, we're just cherry picking each other's stuff left and right.
I'm good at Chuddle 19, man. You Chuddle 6, I'm Chuddling 19.
This one right now.
He gets it. He gets it.
He gets us.
Is there a dream franchise or universe that you would love to get in and explore? Horror-wise, sci-fi, anything like that. And
I've been trying to get Jen to make The Ranger 2 for 4 years. I mean,
I'm there.
That would be so fun. I actually have, I'll answer that in two ways. I have a script that's gone to producers that a friend of mine wrote that I helped him with the story. And if it goes, it could be a thing. And it's super cool. Can't say too much about it except that it does involve the idea that we are not alone. I'll just say that.
Right.
Yeah, but it's super grounded in reality, and it's super fun. I'd love to see something like that. I love science, and I love history. So anything with science and history. I was a history minor in college, so anything with those subjects that also has sort of genre flavors, count me in.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Now, I guess this might be hard to figure out. Do you prefer, or would you prefer to play the antagonist or
I'm sorry,
protagonist?
I have one other answer.
Oh, please.
If they ever do a reboot of the Rockford Files, I would love to reprise James Garner's role.
Oh, that's awesome. God, I would love to see that. Holy shit.
It's out of the universe. Get it out there.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah,
So
do you
fun.
prefer antagonist, protagonist? Is there any one that's more fun to play maybe?
I think tonight I'm feeling like my answer is antagonist. No, my answer would always be antagonists. They're always more fun.
Oh,
They're always more fun.
I'm
mixing
sure.
the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get to be usually number one on the call sheet. But you do get to have more fun. And, dying is always fun. It's fun to die on screen.
Yeah.
Sort of rehearse how you're going to do it when it really comes. Yeah, I think, if you can throw a protagonist in every once in a while, I just love being on set. I love the movie business. I love the camaraderie you gain with the crew and the people that you're in a hotel with somewhere, and all those little things, learning about people's lives that live somewhere else, learning about the characters you're playing, learning different parts of humanity. To me, that's where it's at. And I want to be with my family, but I also want to be on set.
Oh, absolutely.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's that, I guess, charisma that you have, or chemistry that you have with the set and the crew. I mean, it translates to the roles that you play on screen, because for me, at least anyways, my first real intro into noticing you was from Brooklyn 4-5, and then from there I was ready to go and revisit everything because of the performance that you brought to it. So
thank you for
I just wanted to dote a little
algorithms.
bit on you. I gotta boost a little bit here.
Thank you so much.
Sprinkle that in.
Is there a particular kind of because you've acted in a lot of different genres, is there one that you like or prefer to work in over others, or you kind of do, or do you like being because you're very eclectic, as in like you've done stuff in a lot of different genres. Do you like that broad range, or is there a specific one that you're like, man, I really like acting in these kinds of?
There's some that I hadn't done. I auditioned for a show called The Gilded Age, which is an HBO show, which is fantastic, and I was so hoping to get that part because it's sort of. It's a different style of acting. It's heightened, but it's, you get to wear all these fantastic costumes.
Yeah.
But yes, variety is the spice of life. Episodic television is a lot of fun because they have the money to play around. I did an FBI International in Budapest a couple of years ago, and just being in a foreign city making a TV show is so fun. I always just try to find something fun, I did a scene once in Coney Island. God, that's so great. You're on set and you're at Coney Island.
Hanging out.
Looking at what is that game they have there? Shoot the Freak?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they do.
That's crazy. I love it.
Actually, this leads in perfectly to the next question. So if you could do a limited series or a television series based off one of the horror films that you've been in, which one would you want to really explore that universe?
Oh, God. Oh, that's one of the best questions I've ever been asked. Okay, it's like a game show. I got to come up with the answer. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say the Ranger. Let's figure out where he came from. Let's figure out where he's headed. Going to be the Ranger. And if not the Ranger, then the man upstairs. I'd like to go back, sketch his pre-story, the time he was in the hospital, because I think he was in the hospital for a while.
Yeah.
When he was working in the lab, because I think he was probably working in a lab somewhere.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, cool. Oh, God, a Ranger series would be so. That would be so good.
Yeah, let's bring it.
You know how much of the environment I'd like to protect?
There's so much out there to protect.
There's so many wrongs being done.
Exactly.
Noise pollution. Kids at camps dropping candy wrappers in the water, and then a canoe comes into screen, and you see the ranger's hand pick up a wrapper out of the water. I mean, it's the bottom right.
So itself. Good. It does.
Yeah.
Have you found one genre more challenging than the other to work in?
Episodic TV is challenging because you're, if you're a guest star, which is, I've been recurrings, but it's basically the same as being a guest star. Mm-hmm. The pressure to produce is pretty high, and to produce at you don't want to have too many takes that aren't good. You want to have 100% good takes if you can. And so the pressure there it's not a high wire, but it's sort of like a high wire. You want to be, and you want to be prepared. And a lot of times you don't have a lot of time or a lot of sleep. Right. Mm-hmm. But the reward is there. And, a lot of people see it. It has a lot of eyeballs. People get to see your work. Yeah. So it's very rewarding in that way. Yeah.
Sure. So are you still doing stage acting stuff? We've mentioned it plenty, but
I haven't done anything on stage for I think 7 years now. And I get asked every once in a while to go, but I have two daughters, and I can I can be away for a month doing a play, or doing a movie rather, but I can't be away for 6 months or whatever doing a play.
Yeah, no, that makes
2 months would be tough. I just can't. They're 11, 13. They're too young. Yeah. Maybe someday down the line I will, but plus I want to stay married, and my wife would not like that.
Totally understandable. Totally understandable.
It's too tough for one parent to do that for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then, have you ever thought about doing anything behind the camera in that instance? Writing, directing?
Well, yeah, I think there may be some directing in my future. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there kind of a would you want to direct horror films, or is there kind of a particular?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I thought I knew the answer, but I figured I'd ask it.
In fact, I don't think I want to direct films that don't have that flavor.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I wouldn't want to. Because what I love about it is I love the ethos of the people who want to work on those movies.
Oh, yeah.
They come to play. They want to work for 16 hours. They love the effects, the makeup, the lighting, the story. Like, they love it. Yes. Nobody's coming there just to get a paycheck. Yeah. And that's really cool.
It's amazing when you have a group of people that it's a passion project for everyone involved.
Right. That's true. Yeah. And I think that happens more often in genre stuff. At least that's my experience.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I mean, all the gooey stuff. That's the fun stuff to see. And people get excited about it. Yeah, I want to work around that. Do you have any hobbies besides what we were talking about? What else do you like to do?
Well, it's kind of sad. I'm a beekeeper. I have some bees that I keep, but it's really tough, right? Especially in Vermont. The mortality rate is 50%. So most beekeepers in Vermont are losing half their hives every year. And it's because of all the pesticides. Most of the this is minutia that you probably don't care about, but most of the corn seeds that farmers buy already have a pesticide in them when they're planted. And every seed has that, and everybody buys those seeds because they're the cheap seeds. And those pesticides weaken bees, and then this thing called a varroa mite will finish them off. They're not strong enough to resist this varroa mite. So I don't know how many. We had 4 hives going into the fall, and I think we might have lost all of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it's a super fun hobby. They're amazing creatures, and the honey's good, and it's fun to, harvest with my daughters and my wife. And it's a great hobby. And then my wife has a chocolate shop, Plug Daily Chocolate VT. And so it's fun to taste her creations, and I kind of help out there sometimes. That's fun.
Oh, that's so
That's
cool.
all. I'm into both those things, bees and chocolate.
Together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, together. Why not?
She sells a thing called a honey sponge, which is so good. It's like a honey brittle, and then it's covered in dark chocolate and topped off with bee pollen.
Ross, I'll
really
make a
good.
trip. I'll get some for us. I'll send it out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to ask, because we do have some people out here that want to dabble, get into acting maybe and all that stuff. What is something that you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting out, that maybe some advice you could give?
I got the advice and I should have taken it more to heart, but my brother's an artist. And when I was 18, I remember saying, Jeff, what should I do? And he said, just act. And what he was saying was, anywhere, anytime, do it and learn from it. But I would caveat that and I would say, act with the best people you can possibly act with, even if it's the smallest part, and do everything. Like if you have a chance to intern on set or to work backstage, help build a set, if you have a chance to work in a casting room, anything you can do where you can learn by watching people who know how to do it, that's how you learn. And then by doing it, of course, but that's how you get into it, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the next thing I got are the rapid fires, Ross. I don't know if you have anything you want to...
Should I stretch?
It's nothing too crazy. It's our first attempt at something like this, so you're a guinea pig.
I do have one.
Okay.
Because we did talk about our love of special effects and just the goo in films. So when in Brooklyn 4-5, when the prop of Larry is just continuously hitting that hardwood table, how many takes was that? Did you guys have like Gallagher splash guards when you guys were off camera? I mean, like, it seemed amazing just to be a part of that, because it goes to a level and then gets gooier, and then you're like, oh, okay, and then it gets gooier, and you're like, whoa, and then his head splits. The whole sequence was just insane.
So that was shot in different times.
Okay.
So we did a cast shoot with Larry in the top of the scene. And then then Larry came in and shot just with himself and the special effects people.
Okay.
For like 6 hours. And then we came back with the cast and a dummy.
Okay.
And did the rest of it. So there's different levels of goo based on where you are in the scene.
You were in the,
Yeah. And then of course, then it comes back again at the end when we're trying to leave and he starts talking again. And it was as creepy there in the room as it was watching it.
I can only imagine.
Awesome.
So creepy. And funny too, because sometimes we go and we talk to the wound and, hey, Larry, how's it going? Somebody would bring over, to the doll.
Yeah.
To bring over, it's like, hey, do you want some Coke, Larry? Do you need a sandwich? Hey, get the first aid kit in here. I think he's bleeding again.
He's bleeding out a little bit.
So the sponge.
My God, that's great.
People were having fun with that.
That's amazing. I love the special effects. It's okay. So here we go. Classic monsters or modern slashers?
Can you repeat the question? What's the first part?
Classic monsters, like jump scares or psychological horror?
Psychological horror.
Found footage or traditional narrative?
I hate found footage.
Oh.
So very easy
I'm
answer.
going to get people to hate me right now. I can't stand the Blair Witch Project. Sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. You get a pass from me. Haunted houses or isolated cabins?
Isolated cabins.
Ooh,
gore or suspense?
Suspenseful gore.
I like it. Supernatural creatures or human villains?
Human villains.
Zombies or vampires?
Zombies.
Slashers or ghosts?
Slashers.
Creepy children or possessed adults?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was on here too. That was great.
Possessed adults.
Nice. Creepy dolls or sinister clowns?
Sinister clowns.
Beautiful. All right, here we go. Freddy or Jason?
Freddy.
Nice. Mike Myers or Leatherface?
Leatherface.
Mm-hmm.
Pennywise or Chucky?
Stitches.
Stitches. If you haven't seen Stitches, you need to see Stitches. It's so
we'll put that
viewers,
one, yeah.
listeners, anything that's dropping in your ear holes right now, you need to watch Stitches. It's just so ridiculous and amazing.
Yeah.
All right, couple more real quick. Hannibal Lecter or Norman Bates?
Hannibal Lecter.
Nice. Ghostface or Jigsaw?
Jigsaw.
Ooh.
Nice.
The Grudge or The Ring?
The Ring.
And here we go. Pinhead or Candyman?
Candyman.
Nice.
For me, that's
it.
easier.
Oh yeah. Candyman's just
those are two series that I really just need to revisit.
That was fun.
Nice.
We tried setting it up where it's just very top of the dome, so it's kind of more of that
Exactly.
just like
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
spring it off. Awesome. I'm glad you had fun with that. Now, I mean, I guess at this point, are there anything upcoming that you want to talk about? Anything to promote?
Yeah, I don't know if I can talk about any. There's a movie that we're still filming. I'm wrapped in it, but it's called Lady of the Lake. It's a ghost story, super fun.
Nice.
Gia Krovachin is in it, and she's amazing, and Jeff Ayres, and it's by my friend Abby Brinker, who's on another podcast called the Lunatics Podcast, which is friggin' great. They're sort of a historic take on scary stories.
cool.
So she wrote it, and it's great. So I have that coming, and I have two other movies that are coming out this year, but I'm not free to say anything about them yet. But one of them else I can say is a Christmas movie, but you wouldn't find it on Lifetime. I'll just say that. And the other one is a comedy, not a horror movie, a comedy, but you also wouldn't find it on Lifetime. It's going to be like it's a little. The language is too raunchy for it to be anywhere but like, Stars or HBO or somewhere like that. So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
well,
great.
Yeah.
We'll be looking for sure. I hope everyone else there checks it out. Ross, do you have any final thoughts for the evening?
Yeah, a huge thank you for coming on to the podcast to be interviewed. This was
anytime.
This was
guys,
a
I
delight.
had a blast.
This is so much
Thank you
fun.
so much. I had a blast.
We definitely had a great time. This was so cool. Yeah,
we'll definitely have to bring you back on for one of our full episodes.
That'd be fun. And
Talk
the
about
next
Stitches.
time I have a movie, I'd love to get your take on it.
Oh my God.
We would love to.
Oh, anytime.
Cool.
Literally morning, noon, or night.
Okay. Hey, thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get out of here for tonight. So thank you. And until next time, avoid the time loop.